Let me start with some background. My wife and I are both 54. Married 31 years. She is an RN at a hospital. I work for a home builder since I was 18. We have 2 children, both grown out of the house in their 20s. We decided in our mid-40s to pursue my wife's dream of running a bed and breakfast. We had been looking on and off for years. We came across a piece of property of 5 acres and a home built in the 1870s. The original owners were large landowners in this area. They had an extensive agricultural business empire. Over the decades, fewer of the family wanted to stay in farming. Parcels of land were sold off. Our town is going through growing spurts as it has become quite touristy because of some, let's say, natural formations and beauty. The farmland along the main highways is being gobbled up. The house and land we purchased are away from the highways. Since we bought it, my wife and I are redoing the entire house. There has been neglect in some basic maintenance, and we want to restore the house to its prominence 150 years ago. Along with making a living. My wife has been in charge of decorating rooms as I finish, along with paying the mortgage. I am renovating room by room, paying for all material and any professional help, if needed. I am pretty handy, so most work is done by me. The last few years the housing industry has gone through the roof. We would work 8 days a week if we could. I was pulling in big money. Until last year. The pandemic knocked us out of work for a while in 2020, then the material shortages started. Of course, my wife was on the front lines for the last 18 months. Last year she worked weeks at the hospital without days off. The medical staff stayed at the hospital. They had rooms several slept in together. To say the least, the staff got very close. They worked 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Starting in March last year into the fall, then again after Thanksgiving. My wife has always, after the kids were older, worked for others if they asked. She watched these young parents crying because they could not see their families. So, on their off times, she would give up her time off and offer it to the staff that really needed it. There were others that did this too. The whole COVID experience changed her. Watching people put on ventilators, the deaths, etc. She was not the same person. She was distant. Our sex life went to zero. I attributed it to either her experiences or her age. I tried talking about it, but was told she just didn't feel it anymore. We still worked closely on the house. We planned trips to an area in our state that had a large Amish population. The Amish here are known for their craftsmanship in woodworking and sewing. We bought several pieces of furniture for the bedrooms along with handmade quilts. This past weekend, we were planning on taking a 3-day trip to this area to buy dining room furniture. I also pay and trade with some wood that I get when I take down an old barn, which I do as a side gig. Barnwood is very much in demand. My boss calls me and tells me everyone is working the whole week as he was able to get wood and shingles for a house we have been sitting on, waiting for supplies. I told the wife we could go on Saturday and Sunday. On Friday morning she tells me she is still going with some workers because there is a fall festival going on too. I go to a local bar that night. One of her co-workers comes up to say hello. I ask if she was going on the trip. She knew nothing about it. So I texted the wife asking if she made it okay and asked who was all there with her. She texted back that this friend, her other close friend, and a friend called Stevie. I had heard this name the last few months. Until then I always thought they was female. I asked her friend at the bar if she knew this Stevie. She said no, but there is a Steven that works with them. The wife gets back Sunday afternoon. She has bags of tablecloths, napkins, kitchen towels, etc. She is showing me what she bought. In one bag there was a smaller bag. She pulled it out, looked in it and said, "Oh, not this bag, it's not for us." I let it go. Later I looked in the bag, she had hidden it in a closet. It was decorations for a man cave for a college team I don't follow in sports, so it wasn't for me. I asked to talk with her. I asked again who all went. She gave the same 3 people. I just asked who Stevie was because we had not met. She told me a woman they work with. I pulled out the man cave stuff and told her I talked to her friend, who was supposed to be away last weekend, but her plans blew up. Then I asked who Stevie was again. She started crying and told me who he was, and yes, they were by themselves. They had sex. They have been since last year during their hospital lockdown. So now she is living in one of the finished bedrooms. I have our bedroom. I will talk to a lawyer on Monday. I have no idea what to do about the house, the business, the marriage. To me, she was sorry she was caught, but not for the affair. I asked her if she would break it off with Stevie. She was not sure. Update. It's been a hectic couple weeks. Along with my work and side gigs picking up, the wife and I were battling. I saw a lawyer. After I explained everything, he suggested we try to work it out before he gets involved. The house is still not a business and cannot be sold as such. We would have to sell it as a house, unfinished, which would lower the price. We have sunk well over $100,000 into the house plus the mortgage. The lawyer will have to consult with a real estate attorney, and maybe one dealing with businesses. So their fees are going to be high. So, I try to approach the wife to see if we could talk. I don't know if she is embarrassed being caught, but she has dug in her heels. She told me to leave the house. I told her I have no plans to do that. Then she countered with my giving up the master suite and me moving to one of the bedrooms. I again tell her I don't plan on it either. She then says she is off the next couple days and will move all my stuff out and put it in the foyer for me to decide where I am going to stay. So I end the conversation. I went out where my supplies are stored and grabbed a new door lock with the push-button keypad. I was going to install on the bedroom doors once we had guests. We can change the combination after each guest. I installed it on the master suite door. The next day I went to work. When I came home after a day of angry messages for putting the lock on, she was livid. "How dare you lock me out of my bedroom," was her war cry. After back and forth, I asked if we could please talk. She finally agreed. Later that evening we sat down. I told her I was very hurt to find out of the affair, and that I wish she would have told me she was not happy. She did not say anything. So I continued with that as far as I am concerned the marriage is over. She just nodded her head. I then told her I have been to an attorney. This caught her by surprise, by her look. I explained what the attorney said, that it would be best if we could come to some agreement what to do. Our largest asset is the house, and to sell it we would take a huge loss. She just smiled and said I can prove that I have paid the mortgage, so the house is mine. I shook my head no. My attorney explained the house is a marital asset. Both names on the mortgage. I then pulled out a couple binders. I have every receipt that I have spent filed by room on what has been spent. I started this just out of curiosity and just kept going as we finished rooms. I can prove I spent thousands of my money in refurbishing the house. She was caught off guard by the receipts. She has not been to an attorney. I proposed that we live peacefully together, finish the house. We can then set the B&B up. She could buy me out of the business at that time. She dug her heels in again. No, I need to leave. If not, she has plans to move Stevie in. This hurt like a bit. I got up and got a glass of water to collect my thoughts. When I came back to the table, I told her if I see him in the house or on the property, I would start disassembling everything that has been done. Every nail and every screw I put in I would take out. Every light and plumbing fixture would be taken down. I said I would not destroy them because I own them. I would replace them with any old piece of salvage material I could find. I said think about it, consult with whoever is giving you dime store advice. Let me know. Yesterday, she came to me, we had not talked in several days. She asked if we could talk again. She had talked with our kids. I had called each and told them what's going on. Our daughter suggested to her that we stay in the house to completion. Start the business as I suggested. Then maybe I could move out, but still own 50%. Mom could run the business, bringing in an employee or two to help run the place, do yard work, give Mom a day off. I told her I would think about it, but my stance on Steven will not change. So I have another appointment with attorney. The big issue is we probably will not be in business until 2023. The outside needs much work along with landscaping, plus we need to come up a room for one of us to live in. The room I am in is part of the rooms to rent. Cheating fiancé is mad I dumped her and begs me to come back, but I found a new life. Okay, so I feel faced with a very difficult situation, whereas sometimes I want to reach out to my ex and establish a friendship with her, while I also think it might be selfish and awkward. It was a 3-year-long relationship, and with hindsight, without the honeymoon phase and rose-tinted glasses, I think the red flags were writing on the wall from the beginning, that I could see now but ignored back then. I fell in love with her first and confessed twice, both times being turned down. During the second time, she pulled me in for a hug and told me she really valued me and didn't want to put our friendship at risk if things didn't work out. After that, I really wasn't planning to ask her out again, but I made it obvious that I still liked her. She wanted me around, and I felt comfortable being my nerdy self with her, and not having to pretend to be someone I'm not to impress her. Then comes a year later in August, and she decides to ask me when I'm gonna ask her out again, and so I did, and we started dating. First wave of red flags. We both didn't want children. We were having a conversation, and she basically said, "I'm not gonna hold anyone's baby unless they were a certain K-pop idol." While I understand celebrity crushes, and we both had already agreed we didn't want children, I thought this was a bit much. It felt like I wasn't really a priority, or a first option suddenly. This was pretty early on in the relationship. I feel like it set a tone from here forth. More first wave red flags. She kicked me from her Discord server. And every time we'd hold hands alone, she'd say you and push me away, before coming back and grabbing me. Okay, maybe funny the first few times, but when it's every time, it begins to weigh on your own self-thoughts. Second wave of red flags. Things were going good mostly, until high school graduation. It had been the loneliest I had ever felt even while I was in a relationship. I have this fault where when I start to feel lonely or abandoned, I begin to isolate myself off from everybody in the group. I start to feel like I have nothing to contribute to the conversation, and when I do I get ignored, then told to shut up if I keep repeating myself till I got a response, so why even try? This is just my experience when hang out with too many friends at once. And my ex was getting involved in many of these group conversations. When she saw I was just uncomfortable, she'd just ignore me as well. I had also noticed she never really said I love you as much either, not even an I love you too as a response to mine's. Finally we graduate, and it had been 2 days since I seen her, so I text, "I miss you," where she then laughs and asks how? Which gave me the impression she didn't miss me. I stopped responding and went to find a friend. I was finally able to cry my heart out about how frustrated and alone I had been feeling. I also went into many Discord servers to rant anonymously to non-biased people. I never tried to frame victim and her a monster. If I could actually try to argue the opposite, that I can see I may have done wrong here, but that I don't see how the blow-up of the situation was appropriate for what I did. I just wanted to be told I was wrong and to apologize to her, and why I was wrong, because then making up would be easier. The responses I got were that we were just incompatible, or that she was the one in the wrong, not me. Before moving on to the third wave, just want to bring up our sex life. We waited till our first anniversary to have sex. We were both virgins and lost it to each other. But I felt slightly robbed because before that, she asked me if I was okay with involving toys in our relationship. I said I was uncomfortable, and she goes and orders one anyways. Then when she tells me, she start off with, "I know you're going to be mad, but I did it anyways, because your opinions and comfort doesn't matter. I've wanted this for way too long and sticking with it now." I think she crossed a boundary I set and wasn't ready for yet, and she broke it. I think I should have left her then. Anyway, my argument was, since we both are virgins, I thought it would be nice to have sex and not be compared to anything, and it just being us trying to enjoy and understand it together for our first time. But nope, she called me insecure, to grow up because it's not a replacement for me, and that would it have made a difference if she had sex before we started dating. Well, yeah, it would've. We could have shared an intimate moment together, because sex isn't physical for me, it's an expression of love, like hugging and kissing, it's intimate. Right after sex she made a comment comparing me to her toy. Great, just what I wanted to hear. Third wave of red flags. Our Zek's life was dying. At first it was something she seemed more in the mood to explore, and was ready for, and then she wasn't. And it frustrated me. Where we started and then stopped, where did I go wrong? It went from 3 to 4 times a month to once a month if I got lucky, if not it would be none. I felt self-conscious. It was always me to initiate intimacy, but not her. When I did leave it to her she never acted, so I had to. It hurts to get rejected, and she expected me to just smile and get past it when she did. Imagine the amount of confusion and frustration it feels when you go in for a kiss, and your partner turns their head and pushes you away. Why is it seen differently with Zex? That rejection can't upset you unless you're only there for Zex. Anyways, it's now the COVID pandemic. I hadn't watched Naruto in full, so I decided to give it a watch. After I finished it I joined a Discord server, and met a girl who happened to begin watching Naruto slightly after I did, and it was her first watch too, so we had lots to talk about with that. She was also really cool, and had managed to make me actually feel more loving attention from someone than what my ex gave me. Turns out she really did like me. And when I went to talk to a friend he said, "What are you doing with a 403 who make you miserable? You should be accepting her offer." I simply just couldn't, and I had to cut her off to avoid any temptation to happen. It made me spark a conversation with my ex where I was about to break up with her so I could find what I felt from the other girl that I could give back, but my ex cried and begged me to stay. So I did. And I wasn't rewarded for it. I wasn't rewarded for staying loyal, I wasn't rewarded for giving her another chance. It was the same routine except that she finally said I love you more. It felt forced, but she was trying now at least. This conversation made me ask her, "Hey, you know how I asked you out twice, and I wasn't gonna ask you out again? I was gonna try to get over you and accept we could only be friends, but then you told me ask you out the third time. What was it about me that made you want me the third time that was different from the previous 2 times?" Her reply, "You were still in love with me." My mom realized and pointed it out to me. If she hadn't we probably wouldn't have dated. TBH. I didn't know what to think, or if that was okay. OFC, I know now that it wasn't, and I'll explain why, but first. Fourth and final wave of red flags. Ugh, hi, okay. I'm sorry this is getting long. I just want you to understand what I feel like I'd be letting into my life. This one involves characters. I'ma call my 11th grade best friend, Junior, M, and my ex-best friend, Snap, F, Snap, because we actually bonded over a Thanos meme. She's female. Okay, so 2 individual situations merged into one. I may try to keep this short. Junior was my best friend. It bloomed late in 11th grade, but after graduation he dropped off the face of the earth. I've tried getting in touch with him, either got left on read and ignored or just got delivered, no read. Okay, no problem, because that happens naturally. But then I see November 2020 he's gotten buddy-buddy with my GF. Okay, now I'm put off because I tried to reach out, and they have been buddies for a while, it seemed, as soon as I figured out she tried to push me to be friends again with Junior. But he should be reaching out to me. I feel like I did my part. She calls me stubborn, and then pulls us into a group chat, and leaves me and him alone. Just to say it wasn't a vibe. But I didn't push my accusations on him. Also weird that when he started talking to her he didn't ask how I was doing or ask her how to reach out to me. We were best friends. Snap was cheating on her BF with some guy in my ex's Discord server. My ex was having trouble with how possessive Snap had gotten with her, Snap's AP. And so my ex ranted to me about her troubles on that situation. At some point me and my ex were arguing over our dying Zek's life, where she argued that I should be happy just with her being with me and that's it. While I'm pouring my heart and soul into making her happy, not for Zex but because I loved her. But now all my goodwill was ruined because it was chalked up to me doing nice guy stuff for Zex. At some point Junior got involved and pulled me aside to accuse me of not really loving my girlfriend. And I argued that it's not about trade. I loved my ex and work hard to make sure she'll be happy with a future with me. I'm working hard to be the man who ticks all her boxes for an ideal relationship, and I need her to do the same. For me, I want Zex in a relationship because it's intimate. He said he understood, but I need to shut up and just consider her feeling. Okay, now he's on my crap list. We both need to be happy in a relationship, and I've come to realize with this argument that I'm just not gonna be happy if she's happy and vice versa. She was the one who was happy with how things were and I needed change, but if she couldn't change, then I didn't need this relationship. So I went to end it, but before I could suggest it, she said that I win and would get what I wanted. It wasn't satisfying because I didn't feel like it was genuine now. I told my ex that the way Junior had been acting was weird to me, and mainly mentioned how when he and her started hanging out, he didn't ask how I was doing or how to talk to me, when I had been trying to reach out. And it was her who forced it. And now the only reason he ever talks to me is because she tells him to, not because he actually want to be friends again. So I'm cutting him out, and I also need her to put up barriers as well with him, not cut him out. Just cut back please, because she, JR and Snap had been hanging out too much while excluding me, and it was making me uncomfortable. She then accuses me of insinuating that she's cheating, and that she isn't because Junior likes Snap, and he's just a friend. Q next time X rants about Snap's possession over her AP who my ex is also friends with. And I say, wait, so tell me. Does Junior know about Snap and her cheating? And X says yes, he also got to see Snap's pic in the group chat, and encourages Snap to cheat with her AP, and that he wants a piece of that action too. That's when I lose it. WTF. He's actively sabotaging her relationship. And X also mentions he says what her BF doesn't know won't hurt him. X says he was just joking though. WTF, this isn't a joke. You don't make jokes like that. It's so disrespectful. Snap's AP and Junior don't respect them, that's not what a friend does. And X goes, okay, I'll go talk to Junior. Then comes back with some text of Junior telling X to tell Snap. Keep sending photos in the group chat, tell your BF it's an anonymous all-girls chat, I'll avert my eyes, I promise I can't help but laugh. My ex said this was great advice, and that Junior cares. WTF. Me, X, Junior and Snap all went to high school together, we live in the same town, this isn't anonymous nor are all girls. How is lying great advice? Why didn't he say, to Snap, hey, you know I have a crush on you, I want to prioritize your happiness, I need you to stop sending pic in the group chat and be loyal to your BF or break up before you hurt him, because this has long-term implications on your reputation if it got around. That's what a good friend would do, especially for a crush that respects you. It's one thing if she was single or her BF allowed this. She continued to pick her friends over me. I had it. They continued to exclude me. It got to the point where I would cry myself to sleep to not feel lonely. I started gathering old friends together and acting single again. I met a girl and I really began to like her. Okay, now I have to make a choice. I finally left that miserable relationship. And she didn't fight me to stay. But when I did, it kept ringing at me that she didn't want our friendship to be gone if things didn't work out. I offered her friendship when I broke up with her, and she said sure. Later I asked her how she was doing, and that if she was hurt that it would be okay not to answer back immediately. I know that I said that, but the complete silence bothered me. If she valued me, she would have surely just reassured me that we could be friends and to give her time and a short response, right? The second time I asked her again was more desperate. I want a friendship. Again, nothing. Now I had come to realize that she still had a hold over my emotions. Her silence was destroying me because I very much still loved her. She also spent time trying to convince me that Junior and Snap were my friends too. But nobody came to check on me. Nobody asked if I was okay or why I did it. I'm willing to bet that they were all even talking about how terrible I had been as her BF. Turned all my efforts into malicious schemes. I was so hurt and hungover with her I needed to block her to take time to heal. I had a beautiful new girl who was holding my hand through it. We aren't dating, but we're saying I love you, and doing stupid stuff like talking about marriage and living together, and she gets flustered, and I feel like a priority. She checks on me so routinely and greets me with I miss you. I actually really love her and think I can make steps forward with her. Because of her I barely think of my ex anymore, maybe once a week, certain song, locations, or reads. It doesn't hurt to hear her name anymore. And lastly, I forgive them. All three of them. I don't think she was cheating, he's just not that type of person. My unhappiness, and the fact that I was seeing a happy future elsewhere, where I could be with someone who made me a priority. I wasn't her priority. I don't think she ever actually loved me in the first place either. It was convenient, she thought she was unlovable, and I'm just the idiot who went and fell in love, without giving her much work to gain or maintain it. She got to feel love and be promised marriage and a guy who prioritized her. But I don't think that made her bad. Should I let them back into my life? Mainly my ex? I promised her that if things went wrong with her it wouldn't affect our friendship. But I'm so scared. I want to honor my word, but I also don't want to fall in love with her again either. At first I kept dreaming about seeing her again. I don't have them anymore, but in those dreams I kept feeling pain about seeing her again, and a desire to give it a try at an exclusive relationship again. And woke up horrified at myself. I'm not even sure I want the friendship anymore. I can't think of any good memories where I really enjoyed my moments with her, not without thinking of a petty argument we had around the corner. The last dream I had was me saying how I wanted to maintain the friendship. And she called me selfish and asked what if it wasn't what she wanted. So now I hesitate. What should I do? Do I reach out and involve myself based on some promise years ago? Do I give it up? I think I have the resolve that I love this new girl so much. If my ex tried something I'd block her again in an instant. She wasted the chance of a relationship with me. Advice much needed, please.